Hi, welcome to The Pursuit of Truth on YouTube and Anchor FM and other casting agencies, which I know one is Castbox. I think the other one is an Apple one. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So two things I want to talk about. There is another thing, but I want you to hear the actual interview so that you can hear it for yourself. But yeah, the two things to talk about first is charities. Now, since I've been born, well, I suppose that's the only thing I can say anyway, I've seen many different charity organisations, from Live Aid to British Heart Foundation, Appeals, all sorts of things. My concern is, why is it, despite all this money going to charity, are these problems not being solved? Now, I don't know, maybe it's because the money that we're giving is just not enough. And I'm sure, that would be what the charities would say, but there seem to be so many charities. And if I'm just thinking of the UK, how many charities are there in the UK? 100? 1,000? 10,000 charities? I don't know how many there are. And that's just the UK. Then how many countries are there in the world? 200 and something countries, is it? If each of them has 1,000 charities and everyone gives £1, how much money they're making every single year? Yes, I know that they're diverse. Some are dogs, some are cats, some are cancer, some is HIV, some is for poverty, some is for immunisation. I know there's lots of different causes, but still that's a lot of money. And now, over my lifetime, that's 40 years, how long has charity been going on for? It's been going on, I'm sure, before I was born, but definitely since I've been alive. The amount that they get, if you look at children in need, 17 million or whatever it is, or there might be even more than that by now. All these different charities are given money by the public. And then you've got to factor in also, we know that governments around the world, they also give money to charities. You would have hoped that they would give more. And in the countries where the problems are, you would have hoped they would, rather than putting money into military and wars and things like that, would put money into their own people. Sadly, that's not the case usually. So all this money, if actually someone worked out how many charities there were and how much money has been spent on even just one thing, I wonder how much money that is, and whether that should have sorted the problem out by now. Now, it makes me wonder, is there corruption in these charities? Now, obviously, I've heard things on YouTube and on the news to do with Hillary Clinton and her foundation, and I've heard of other charities. Now we're hearing about sex slaves being used. Which charity was that now? I don't want to put them in my line, the wrong one. But, there's lots of things coming out now, and that's just about those things. But what about the money aspect of it? What about where the money goes? I know we've heard lots of times where you hear that the money, it goes to the country and the country doesn't give it back to the people. Sometimes I think the charities, they build things, and these things, like say a hospital or a business or an oil factory, or I don't know, whatever, it gives the people, the indigenous people there, some jobs. But I suspect the money that's made really goes back to the big companies that gave the money. So really it's like an investment for them rather than a charitable exercise. Those kinds of things, I don't think it should be allowed. I think charity should be seen in the Islamic terms. I don't know what the biblical terms of it is. It's that something where you're giving something that you're not getting anything for, and it should be something good. Like if you were like, oh God, that jumper's got a horrible stain in it, I don't like it, that's not charity. If it's like, oh, that jumper, it's good, but I don't want to wear it anymore, but it's still good quality, and I give it to someone, that's charity. But giving something that you don't want is not really charity in the sense of, like if there's something wrong with it. If it's like you don't want lots of items anymore given away, that's fine, that's charity. But if you're giving something that's got a hole in it, say, or it's, frayed or something like that, that's not really charity. Not in the truest sense of the word. So that's, I think, how businesses should be seen with charity. There shouldn't be some kind of investment out of it. They shouldn't be giving lots of money, they say, oh, we're going to do irrigation projects and stuff like that, and then they end up building, whatever dams and things like that, and really they're getting all the money from it, or there's some other way they're getting money. So I don't know, is that where charities are failing? But then you've got charities with research. You've got British Heart Foundation, you've got the cancer ones. You know, why are there no cures? Where are the... I mean, I know there are advancements, and I know, you know, obviously now people are living a lot longer from cancer, from HIV, from all the different things, but there doesn't seem to be any like breakthrough cures anymore like there were, you know, 100 years ago. When you think of all the different things that have been cured back then, you know, you would have thought with all the advancements, all the computer power, all the, you know, the minds, there must be a lot more cleverer, I was going to say, trying to think of a better word than that. You would have thought they would have come up with something by now. But it seemed, and that makes me wonder, you know, like, you know, with the pharmaceutical thing, that obviously it makes sense for a business to keep their business going, isn't it? And that's my worry. And that's my worry where pharmaceutical companies, I think the pharmaceutical companies should be government-led, but then again, maybe now thinking what I think now, maybe that's not a great idea, because if it's government-led and they can manipulate it as well, maybe it would be, I don't know if it would be possible, but it would be public-led. So somehow we hold them accountable in the true sense that, you know, that members of the lay public are the board, so that we can make sure that people aren't profiting from it. Because that's the problem. If you've got a business that's making all these medicines, to find a cure, yeah, you may make a short amount of money, but then you can't... How much money do they make from keeping something there but not curing it? That must make a lot more money, because if you've got 1,000 people that have got a disease and you find a cure and you cure those 1,000 people in 1 year, that's it, you've finished. If you find something that enables them to live but still need your tablets, you could take those 1,000 people and they could have that disease or whatever ailment for the rest of their lives, taking your tablets every single day. Now that's the problem. How do we guarantee that that is not what's happening? And we do know that there are cases where, I'm sure historically, there are things where things have been, you know, that this has happened. We know with the light bulb, there was a light bulb that was meant to last for a life, and that, I don't remember, was it Philips that patented it, and they bought it, they patented it, and then they just hid it away. They probably used part of that technology to make their longer lasting light bulbs, but they don't want one light bulb that's never going to break, do they? But that's the problem. That is the problem with the way we're running this country, that we are allowing people to suffer for gain of a financial aspect, rather than looking at how can we serve everyone at the best way. The best way means that if you do come up with such an idea, that should be, yes, that should be rolled out. Why are we wasting buying light bulbs all the time, on all the pollution that there may aspect? You know, the actual amount, if you look at it that way, is probably a lot more than. But the thing is then they don't have to worry about that, because all they're worried about is how much money they get, and their thrones and their big palaces that they're going to live in. Okay, I'm going over the top there, but you know what I mean. It shouldn't be like that. It should be that we do things for the best reason, for the good. And yet you'll get people, business people and whoever, and philanthropists, who will argue that they are doing this. But no, they're not really. Come on, you're kidding yourself if you believe that. We are not living the best way we could. And my worry is if pharmaceutical, if companies, you know, like pharmaceutical companies and like the light bulb industry, if that's happening in pharmaceutical companies, then maybe it's happening with charities as well. Because if they put all this money into good use and into a proper way of making sure that they cure the problem, or they put enough money into it to get the best people to work it out, or they put money into a country to try and get them to be able to have a sustainable life, have a better life, be able to live on their own, be able to grow crops, or whatever they do, if they sorted that out, they would then cease to exist. And even though a lot of these organisations are non-profit, they must make money somehow, isn't it? Some of them, yeah, maybe they do it for volunteering and they don't make any money, but I'm sure there's lots of them that earn a wage, and they justify that in the fact that they need someone to earn a wage to be able to look after these things and make sure that everything's done properly. But I wonder if we will look back in the future on charities and see that we were wasting all our money giving it to them, that they're never really sorting these things out, that it seems, I mean, how long do we have to keep paying charities over and over and over and over every year? You know, you get Children Need, you get things like this, BBC Children Need, every single year. But there's still, I mean, I know that there's new children born all the time, there's new problems all the time, but my goodness, all this money, where's it really going? Is it really being accounted for? Then the problem is we're not holding these charities accountable, and I'm sure they do release their figures, but who's going to go on the line and see 100 different charities and see what they've done with all their money and whether it was really spent to the proper places and whether that is the best way of spending their money? Because that could be the problem. The problem may be they're getting lots of money, but they're spending it in a way that is not really like a band-aid. It's not solving the problem like the pharmaceutical companies making tablets rather than cures. It's keeping them ticking so that they next year ask for an amount of money. Now, the thing is, it does make you wonder that why would anyone who wants to go into a charity, do it that way? Because don't they understand that it's better to sort this out? But then maybe if there are people who are above, sell them that idea that this is the best that we can do. We can't solve the problem, but we can keep them alive. It just worries me that after charity after charity after charity, it's not really getting sorted out, is it? We still live in a country with all these problems that we need all these charities. For how long? It's like if you have a leak in a roof and it keeps leaking and leaking and leaking, and you keep fixing it, how long is it going to last? Why doesn't it ever get fixed properly so that it stops? I mean, really, if the charity is effective, is getting all this money, then these charities should be closing. But how many charities have ever closed? We're probably going to get charities that are 100 years old, celebrating their 100th year. They shouldn't be celebrating, they should be asking themselves, why are we still here? Why haven't we moved on to something else? We started off with cancer, now we're moving to a different charity because to solve that. How is it we're keeping these charities alive? Where is all this money really going, and what is it being used for? But this is the problem with life, because there's so many different things, there's so many different distractions. Who's going to sit down and look at spreadsheets and see where this is? And then, would they even have the knowledge to be able to know whether it's right or wrong, or the best way of doing things? So this is why it can all this stuff can always continue, because the problem is we have the capacity to be good, or we have the capacity to not be good, or to do things the better way, or a way that is best for us. And we're never going to solve that thing, really, I don't think. And so these things will always happen, and we will never have this like utopia-style life, or anywhere even near it. And that's unfortunate, really, isn't it? And if you believe in God, which I do, and his words make it quite clear, whichever religious text you read, that we should be doing things for the good. We should be doing things for each other. We should be living in a heaven on earth, not a hell on earth which we're creating for ourselves. You've got to ask yourself, all these people that are religious, all these people that are meant to be following God's word and God's practice and putting this into practice and making sure that we live in this better world, what are they doing, and how are they allowing all this to go on? And them also being involved in all these things. Anyway, bit of a rant there, but and now I've even actually forgotten what the second thing I was going to talk about was. Let me have a think. Well, I can't remember for now, but it doesn't matter. I think I've gone on enough now. Anyway, please comment, leave your likes, comments, whatever, so I know what you think, whether you agree, what we can do about this. I don't want this I don't make these, well, who knows what is the real reason why I make these things, maybe I'm fooling myself in the reasoning, but my reasoning isn't just for, being liked, or my reasoning for doing this is to get the message out that I think needs to be talked about. I don't want us to live in this world like this anymore. I want us to do something. I want us to acknowledge the problem. I hope that my voice and other people's voices, even if it's just one person that listens to this and repeats it, and that in the future that we will, I don't care about being famous or popular or anything like that. I know that's never going to happen. You can only look at my YouTube to see the account and stuff like that. I know that's never going to happen. And obviously I would like my poems and stuff like that to be recognised, because that's how we're brought up to feel that that we have worth that way. And I know that's probably never likely to happen, but what I really want to happen, not only just for me, hopefully in my lifetime, but for all those that I love, and for my children, and for humanity in general, is that we stop and we look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we change, because we have the capacity to do that. You know, if you believe in religion, if you truly believe in God, which is meant to be like most of us on this planet, but it isn't really, is it? Because if it was, we wouldn't be living like this. You've got to read those words and you've got to start putting them into action and start making this world for everyone, you know, and a place where everyone has everything they need. And I don't mean that you force religion down, you know, whatever. I mean that the whole point of God is that God has given us all this free will to live in the best way possible, and He's given us guidance of how we can do that. Loving thy neighbour, by giving alms, charity, by, you know, doing all these good things. And if we then choose to interpret them in a way that means that all we're really doing is getting money and surviving, we're missing the whole point of it. Even if you don't believe in religion, it doesn't matter. You know, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that we need to, I don't know, make everyone understand that the way we live doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. This is just the way we've inherited it, and we can change it like anyone, any child that's brought up and they do a robbery or crime or whatever, they can change. We know it is possible for humans to change. So as a collective, as a country, as a world, as a planet, why can't we do that? Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.